be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's law.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VoP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VoP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
A beautiful morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday's edition of VoP This Morning. I am Fina Okechukwu, and on our table this morning we have quite interesting topics I would like you to be part of just because you have to listen to us. Yes. A Nigerian youth mobilizes for Friday protest in Lagos. 6 end to treason charges as Shetima claims that over 300 billion naira was lost during peaceful and bad governance protests that happened just last August 1 to 10. Who knows if this one is to pull through, how many billions are we going to be losing?
Oh, well, good morning and thanks for joining us on this morning show. I am Chukwuma Okoro. The indigenous people of Biafra has identified the root cause of insecurity in the southeast and called on Igbo politicians to resist political witch hunt and work together in unity of purpose to achieve lasting peace in the region. Moses?
Well, Fina says you have to listen. So yes, do listen and be part of the conversation. Lasting peace in the Southeast, that's what Southeasterners seek. Well, we will unravel all of this in the course of the program today. Well, let's do know that you can be part of the conversation, of course, by following us on YouTube. It's Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms. We are at VoP TV Live. All right, that's VoP TV Live. Well, let's get into some conversations that trended before we look at stories that made it to the cover pages of the papers. Well, we hear that millions of Americans took to the polls yesterday to show the world who they stand for. Well, it's 24 hours of uncertainty, hoping that their preferred candidate wins. The world, well, the world is watching, of course, to know who the next American president will be. Will it be Donald Trump? Will it be Kamala Harris? Oh, well, some Nigerians that have American citizenship have gone on to cast their own votes. David Adeleke, better known as Davido, was one of those who cast his vote. Well, he didn't say who he voted for, but you know, he did cast his vote, and some other Nigerians, both home and abroad. You know, the beautiful thing about the system there is you can fly in, vote, or vote online, you know, but you can vote from wherever you are. That's the beautiful thing about the American system. But Chukuma has always said, you know, we said something yesterday that the democracy America is practicing is not fantastic.
No,
and truly it's not.
Yeah, no, it's honestly it's not. It's not because if you look at it, I mean, Americans have gone to the polls, you know, to choose the person that they want to lead them.
Yeah.
But the same America, you have about 350 people gathered in one room.
And they have to decide.
They have to decide. So that is quite undemocratic. I think at last count, Trump has 230 electoral college votes, while Kamala Harris, at the last time I checked, had 205. You know, and anyone that is like first past the post, and the first person that hits 270 is declared the winner. So, and that is regardless of how the people voted. You You know, so will you call that democracy?
No, it doesn't.
It's quite
seem like
undemocratic.
it doesn't. Well, it's not also. I mean, they still have some other scuffles, some other things that happen. Yesterday, there were rumors of bomb explosion, rumors of it in some parts of America.
Yes.
Ballot boxes being destroyed and the rest. Russian interference in it as well.
Moses, you see, we didn't have enough time to talk about it yesterday, and you said that probably we'll expand it to make it a major topic of discussion. So, if you look at how I've followed the American presidential elections for years now, both as a student and as a journalist, and I discovered that at a point it used to be issue-based campaigns. You know, you are talking about tax cuts.
Yeah, it still
You are talking about economic policy. Eh?
You don't think it still is?
No,
I think this particular one
wasn't. It was more like muckraking, doxing, you know, mudslinging, bickering between Kamala and Trump.
I think it has to do with the characters.
With the characters,
yes.
you know, that, I mean, but it didn't end with the principal contestants. You had people, you had supporters, you know, like Obama coming to, you know, publicly support the black community and Harris and all of that. And the white supremacists saying, look, we have to take it back. Make America great again. This country belongs to us. We don't want intruders and all of that. That is essentially what the 2024 presidential election in the U.S. was.
But now, do you think they're going to have a better or a clear result from this election that just happened yesterday, given the fact that there are still delays with proclamation of who is the winner, and Obama saying something about how it took them so many days for them to count the votes from Americans in 2020? So do you think that this particular one, that there'll be free, fair declaration of the particular winner in this election?
You see, at the end of the day, there will be, because they have a way of managing their...
They're already delaying, and not just that they're delaying already, we're hearing rumors of ballot box being snatched, ballot papers being destroyed, bombing and all that.
That is all part of, you know, how we describe this particular election.
Okay, that's, on the screen we have a tweet from Donald Trump.
No, from Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, beg your pardon. Okay, I couldn't see that one clearly.
He said it took
several days to count every ballot in 2020, and it's very likely we won't know the outcome tonight either. So please keep a few things in mind as you make your voice heard today. Thousands of election workers around the country are working hard today. Respect them. Thank them. Don't share things before checking your sources. Let the process run its course. It takes time to count every ballot. Oh, well. But Donald Trump also did say that if he loses, he will concede and thank, you know, whoever wins. Well,
no, I think he has learned his lessons.
Oh, yes.
From what happened January 6, 2020, you know.
Oh, yes.
And that's the reference that Barack is making to. You know, he referred to what happened in 2020. You know.
Oh, well, let's move away from elections in America. We'll come back to it in the course of the day as we wait to hear the results, if they will be announced today. Let's look at some of the issues. Well, Nigerians experienced another nationwide blackout yesterday afternoon from about 2:45 p.m. when the national grid collapsed. Well, we hear that the transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, had a partial system disturbance, and TCN engineers, you know, worked to restore power, starting with Abuja after, you know, about sometime during the day. Well, it's the 10th time that the grid is collapsing. One hopes that this will be sorted once and for all, and this embarrassment of grid collapsing will be a thing of the past. You
know, when they're talking about 10 times it happened, it's this year or less?
10 times this year.
And for those that want to ask how, okay, it happened on February 4th. That's the first one. March 28, April 15, July 16, August 5, and another one again. August 5, then October 14, October 15, October 19, and yesterday,
twice on October 19.
November 5.
The fact is that I like both of you and the people that put out this thing. That, what it means is that we still have sane Nigerians, you know,
we're beginning to keep data now.
Who can keep count?
Yeah,
you know, because most Nigerians have lost count. Because at times the national grid will even be up and they won't have light. So when you said that national grid has collapsed, and they will be like, when did it collapse? You will say 3 days ago. But I've not had light for the past 10 days or so. You know, so it's good that people are even keeping count. So TCN, Minister of Power, Adelabu, we are not getting the 20 hours power supply you say that we get to. So please do something about it.
I hope also there will be, some people will be cautioned or, call in for the fact that Nigerians who are paying high price increment on that tariff hike, and people are not getting the benefit of the money that they are spending. And no one is going to go in for that anyway. But some people are saying that it's high time that the government, especially the Minister of Power Supply, Adelabu himself, will come up to tell us who are the people that we're going to hold responsible when we don't get our 20 hours power supply, according to those who fall in between the band A or band B on that, the partitioning that Nigerians are facing now as regards that particular.
Sorry, Moses, I want to say something. The government policy has a way of turning things around. At a point, Nigerians had given up on this power thing. So everybody started sourcing his own source of power. You buy generator, you buy inverter, and all of that. And by then, Nigerians were no longer complaining about power outages and all of that because it had become a new normal. We were used to it. But now, the policy of government that increased the pump price of fuel has revised that trend. So that is why we are now beaming our attention on the power sector. So isn't it good that this thing is happening so that we can even take people to account to say, look, you have to do this to ensure that we have constant power supply.
But Nigerians obviously should hold, we should learn to hold both elected and appointed officers accountable. So we should hold them. If they say they will do something, we'll keep tabs on them and ensure that the promises that they have made, they come through on it. Well, moving on to another story. But the President Bola Tinubu, has promoted Major General Olufemi Oluyede to the rank of Lieutenant General and appointed him as the Acting Chief of Army Staff. Well, he did appoint him as Acting Chief of Army Staff sometime last week. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday last week? Wednesday last week. He made him Acting Chief of Army Staff. Well, this move comes on the heels of the deteriorating health of Lieutenant General Tarid Abiodun Lagbaja, who we hear was under the weather, a little more than being under the weather. He was sick and flown abroad for treatment. Rumors came out was it last week or the week before, that he may have, died, but that was refuted by the Army HQ. But then we saw the appointment of Oluyede, and now Oluyede has been upgraded, promoted, to the rank of Lieutenant General. Oh well. Is that something? It's funny because the way the Chief of Army Staff was flown abroad was in secrecy, and I start to ask. We have a problem in Africa, not just in Nigeria. Well, we have a problem in Africa where if something is wrong with someone, you tend to keep it a secret. And I think I understand why. Because when the news about the probable demise came out, they were lobbying for his position. So there's that possibility that, look, people are after your life. So you want to hide every information. But it's not the case with, people, some of the people around the world. King Charles was sick, and the world knew the nature of it. The world knew when he was going into surgery.
Joe Biden
has been sick. The world knows. Why are we such a people?
People that are not even as highly placed as the king and the president, but they occupy sensitive positions in government. When they are sick, people are told, look, this person is infirm, and he's going into one procedure or the other, and it will take so and so. When Condoleezza Rice, was sick, she had to do a procedure, to remove something, It was up there.
Why is it that when it gets to Africa, we tend to hide it?
We are very cagey. We are very cagey.
Also in Cameroon, I hope you remember what happened in Cameroon.
Why are we so very cagey? And from then it gets into stigmatization. The person is stigmatized. Are you sure that since he came back, do you think he's fit to occupy this position? And even your very lieutenants will start aiming for that position. the moment you are declared infirm, temporarily,
Temporary.
you know, so I mean, like I said, death is an end that awaits every human being, you know. So the only thing we can do is to pray for Labaja, you know, for quick recovery and ask God to please heal him of whatever infirmity of whatever he's passing through at this crucial moment in the national history, you know.
All right, then. Well, those are some trending issues, of course. But yesterday, other things happened. I don't know if you guys saw some of these issues. There was trouble somewhere in Oshodi yesterday when a bus driver set himself ablaze when he was stopped by last man. They were going to arrest him, and he set himself ablaze. It's crazy.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Set himself ablaze, and they all fled. You know, people around.
The one that ran away
pursuing them.
and started obstructing himself, is it the bus driver?
Yes, yes. He
Okay.
set himself ablaze, and then when they ran away, he had to
pull his clothes.
take off the clothing to prevent, you know, the burns from
Maybe he wanted to be another Muhammad Bouazizi. You know Muhammad Bouazizi.
That's a terrible way to be. Well,
You know, but that was how he started in Tunisia. You know, maybe he wanted to play around that and see how Nigerians can mobilize to say, no, enough is enough. I don't know the reason why they held him
not
anyway.
the time. I think these agents of government, the traffic agents, you know, LASMA, road safety, I think they should be. Yesterday as well, I was driving along Airport Road, and they were trying to stop a vehicle just before the airport, and you know, the vehicle refused to stop, and they drove the van, and there was a bit of traffic. Drove the van, and you know, the meandering could have caused a bigger accident. Eventually, the man had to maneuver his way. People don't have money. You know, people might have flouted one law, one rule or the other, but we have CCTVs. We have tracking systems.
do we
Yes,
have?
do.
In some places,
Yes, we do.
there are CCTV cameras.
On the airport road, on 3rd Million Bridge, in Ikeja, in some places we have this.
Moses, are they functional? I'm just asking because I want them to function. I'm just asking.
Well, we know they're up there.
Okay.
We know they're up there on street lights, and you know whether they are functional. We will have to go to the control room
To find out.
their control room to see. But when you have these things in place, you can track, you know, those that have done infractions, traffic infractions, you know, by scanning their plate numbers and doing things, and then sending mails to them, as against chasing them on the road. I think we should stop
You're talking about
that.
chasing them on the road. I experienced something yesterday. I had to step in. This happened when I wouldn't want to call the force, you know, but a particular man boarded a bus, and then the conductor of the bus was like, "Please, you need to pay me." And the man said, "For what?"
I think we should call the force.
And then he said, "Why would you pay me? Don't you know how much I buy fuel today?" And they said, "That's not my business." Like the impunity, the way the man was displaying that, you know, I was like,
did he say,
"What is happening?"
staff?
He was fully kitted.
Did
He
you
was
say,
fully kitted,
staff?
and that made him not to pay. And that caused, I'm like, why wouldn't you pay your fare? You didn't bargain with these people. You didn't negotiate with them. You just entered, and then you're making trouble. And then the man was, you know, he was talking and raking, and we're like, oh, okay. I don't want to get more involved into it, but I'll talk
Sorry,
about it.
Fina, I like the fact that you raised it. That is to show you how low we have gone. You know, people that are in security forces have some kind of protection even by the citizens themselves, because they are always in the line of fire. You know, for us, they take the bullets for us. While we are asleep, they are awake. I recall that when I came to do youth service in Nigeria, when I came to do youth service in Lagos here, you know, it was common to see a policeman, a soldier, even a road safety walk into a bus, and they will just greet the person and pass when they want to collect fare. And if they ask the person, if some have the courage to ask, the person will just say, "I am staff," and they will pass the person. As corps members, we were also claiming staff, and they used to respect us.
Oh yes, oh yes.
As corps members, we used to claim staff when we are in our gear, you know.
I think times have changed.
Times have changed. You know why times change? The question the man asked, "Do you know how much I buy fuel?"
For today.
I mean, if the guy was buying fuel for 15 naira a liter, there is no how he will have cost a policeman or a soldier to ask for fare. It could be from one point to the other, like 2 or 3 bus stops, you know, 2 or 3 bus stops at the most. But now, by the time he considers losing 800 naira per trip on one head, and probably
And he will still pay at the park.
at the park, and when that one alights, another one might step in, and when he's doing a return, another man, you know, so he considers all of those things and say, is it possible that I can lose, on the altar of patriotism, lose 4,000 naira in one fell swoop? And the person says, no, Oga, I can't take it anymore. So that is how low we have gone. I don't know how we got to this level. Quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate indeed. Quite unfortunate. Oh, well, let's take a little break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the papers. All right, thanks for joining us again. Now let's look at the papers this morning. I have the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust, the banner headline there talks about elections in America. It says, Harris, Trump, Americans await outcome. Whoever wins is set to make history. Time to abolish electoral college system. Emergence of any of them won't have impact on Nigeria. Ex-ambassador. Well, I will disagree with that one. Emergence of whoever rules America has impact on the rest of the world. Well, Boko Haram terrorists flee into Borno villages as Chadian troops intensify onslaught. I take that one again for emphasis. Boko Haram terrorists flee into Borno villages as Chadian troops intensify onslaught. They have abandoned MNJTF locals. Some foreign soldiers fighting in Nigerian territory. It's a political matter, not operational. MNJTF. All right, so these are the headlines from Daily Trust.
And on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, the banner headline or the bold headline that reads, FG reverses 18-year age limit for admission into tertiary institutions. Minister hints on review of National Education Policy, warns Tertiary Governing Council against floating extant rules. That's on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Hashtag End Bad Governance Protest. Court strikes out treason charges against minors. IGP orders probe into their welfare in detention. Why Tinubu ordered their release? Shetima. Falano advised president to enroll them in schools. The story is on page 10 of the Nigerian Tribune, and above the masthead, the window headlines there are FG moves to curtail negative net assets of 39 trillion naira. The rider to that, to enforce compliance, sanction erring MDAs, MOFI to register all FG's assets. Fear of post-election unrest in United States as tension rise. And we have a major pictorial on that on the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune, and that is where the president is promoting the acting chief of army staff, Oluyede, to lieutenant general. Okay, beside that pictorial, last man officer set ablaze in Lagos. Oyebanji appoints Justice Ogumoye as acting chief judge. The story is on page 20 of the Nigerian Tribune. I am satisfied with my achievements in 8 years, according to Obaseki. And the bottom strip headline reads, why Tinubu's economic policies more workable than Atiku's? That is coming from Mercury. That story is on page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune, and that's how all we have that made it to the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
And let's touch on the Punch newspaper with the banner headline. Nationwide blackout as grid suffers 10th collapse in 2024. With the riders, generation drops to 0 megawatts. 22 Gencos affected nationwide. Partial power in Southwest. And you have the window headlines. Eyes on swing states as Harris, Trump battle for U.S. presidency. And the regulation not licensed to blend low-quality products, according to Dangote. And beside the nameplate, you have Khan meets Ayedatiwa, declares 3 days prayer. Well, I think we are in a season of prayers. And Deloitte, APC, PDP, bicker over candidates' performance. And there's a pictorial there of the end bad governance protesters who were released yesterday. I think they are having a handshake with Deji Adeyanju, one of the lawyers that represented them. And another headline, over 300 billion naira lost in protest. Shetima tells released hungry minors. I'll take that again for emphasis. Over 300 billion naira lost in protest. Shetima tells released hungry minors. Moses, I guess we have to talk about that by 9 o'clock. Yes. And you have other headlines. Stakeholders hail reversal of 18-year policy for varsity admissions. Lagos driver flees after setting LASTMA officer on fire.
Okay, so it was the LASTMA officer.
It was the LASTMA officer, yes. Oh, the trending story in Africa. Sex tapes. Equatorial Guinea installs CCTV in offices, suspends officials. And that's all from the Punch newspaper.
All right, and so let's touch on another daily now. The Guardian is up next. Public engagements, debates fading as vote buying rules polls. And then we have, right beside the Victoria there, we have 16-year-olds now eligible for tertiary education as FG reverses age policy. Sokoto LG chair alleges 1 million naira youth inducement from new terrorist group. I take that one again for emphasis. Sokoto LG chair alleges 1 million naira youth inducements from new terrorist group. All right. Rising energy demand, vandalism affecting grid stability, say experts. Minors freed on humanitarian condition, says FG, as NAPS offers scholarship. FBI warns of disinformation as Trump gives condition to concede poll. Deregulation not licensed to blend off-spec products, says Dangote. CJN laments rising vulnerability of Nigerians firms to cyber attacks. And we have FG pledges to cushion hardship, boost MSMEs. All right, I do believe, yes, those are the headlines from the Guardian newspaper, and those that's how far we can go with newspaper headlines this morning. Join us again at 9 o'clock for newspaper review, where we'll look deep into some of these headlines. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, Nigerian youths mobilize for Friday protest in Lagos seeks end to treason charges as Vice President Shetima claims over 300 billion naira was lost during the End Bad Governance protest. Let's talk about this one when we come back.
From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VoP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents,
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VoP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Catch up with the latest topics. catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending, from politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VoP TV, 10 p.m., Monday to Friday. Hashtag if it's trending, we bring it on.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Still VOP this morning. The Lagos State chapter of the hashtag End Bad Governance movement is organizing a peaceful protest on Friday, November 8, to demand that President Bola Tinubu's government drop charges against activists arrested during the August 1 to 10 hashtag End Bad Governance protest. Specifically, they are calling for the release of all the hashtag End Bad Governance protesters on trial for treason. The movement is also advocating for policy change to address increasing hunger and hardship, including reversing fuel price hikes, reducing food prices and electricity tariff, and ending corruption. And Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has disclosed on Tuesday while speaking to reporters at the presidential villa during the official handover of minors who participated in the nationwide protest to their state governors that the country lost over 300 billion naira during the hashtag End Bad Governance protest in August. Meanwhile, human rights lawyer Femi Falana, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, also revealed that the federal government was too embarrassed to bring the minors they've arrested during that protest to court. We have with us in the studio this morning to help make sense of this topic. We have Barrister Darlington Agumo, VOP in-house analyst. He's a legal practitioner and a political analyst. And also we have beside him Dele Fanimo, a seasoned journalist and VOP in-house analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Fina.
Good to have you in Wednesday's edition of VOP this morning.
I'm happy to be here.
All right.
Especially pairing up with Barrister Darlington.
That's a beautiful word. Barrister Darlington, let me start with you this morning. Femi Falana is saying that the minors that were released, that the president said he should release, that happened because Nigerian government was embarrassed for bringing them to court. Remember that these minors we're talking about participating in the August 1 to 10 hashtag End Bad Governance protest, which the vice president said made Nigerians to lose 300 billion naira. Do you think that that's the reason that these minors were released?
Yes, it's part of it. It's part of it because under our laws, you could not have arraigned minors in adult courts. That is one. The drafters of our laws, there is wisdom when they decided to create a juvenile court, because the need of the child is not the same thing as the need of the adult. So they had to create a juvenile court for this type of purpose. So for the government to now bring those children inside adult court, the trauma, the embarrassment, the humiliation and intimidation on the mind of those children cannot be quantified. We just messed up our humanity because the whole world was watching. So these are part of the things that made them to say no. And then they cry out from the international community. In fact, the pressure came more from the outside world. I am sure that if it is only Nigerians that are talking, Tinubu wouldn't have listened though. He wouldn't have listened.
Are they really minors? Remember that I asked you yesterday, the Council of the Federation said that those boys are not minors, that they have wives and children. So are they really minors? And if they are minors, what do you think now should happen to the man who represents FG, that's the federal government, coming up to tell Nigerians or even the world that those boys that were not minors?
Please, there is nothing wrong in, accepting and believing what your government is telling you. But most times, it is always good for you to look at what they are telling you and then juxtapose it with what is on the ground. Are they the same thing? The government can say anything just to get away with their infamy. It doesn't matter. The man should have brought out their wives and their children now, or even trace them to their homes, to their family, to tell us that, look at these children are married. Though. So now that the federal government have deemed it fit to release them, so who is now telling us the truth? Who? If you see a child, you will know now. No matter how stunted you are, if anybody see a child, you will know. So you don't need to start debating it. Whether they used to vote or not, what we are talking of, what is going on in our court today over those children. So all those things, the man was trying to justify his brief. I don't blame him. He's doing his job. He could have even told us that some of them are even over 50 years. And he will find a way to justify it. So it doesn't matter. The thing is, what are the perception of the society, of the public, of the international community? Okay. Now that they have seen the need to now reverse themselves, who is not telling lies, Fina? Tell me, who is telling lies? So that is it. When government is talking, or when government officials are talking, please take it with a pinch of salt, because most times what they are telling you is not the reality. They want to embarrass Tinubu government. Either they want to embarrass him, or they want to cow those who want to protest in future.
Talking about cowing them, I will get to you now, Mr. Fanimo. How can Nigerians be cowed not to protest? November 8th, being Friday, some youths again in Lagos State have come up to say we are going to protest, this time around peacefully, for the release of the detained protesters, people that participated in the hashtag End Bad Governance protest from 1 of August to 10. Can Nigerians be cowed?
You just answered the question yourself. If Nigerians were to be cowed, or the plan to cow Nigerians had been working, there won't be protest slated for Friday, the day after tomorrow, by Nigerians, that those people that were arrested and detained over this protest in the past should be released. So it clearly shows you that we are not cowed. But the only thing I would want to say here about this Friday's protest, anyway, on a lighter mood, I don't think they should protest on Friday. Maybe they should postpone it till Saturday, because Friday is my birthday and I want to celebrate. And I want my friends to be around me. But talking seriously, you see, we might just ignore or play down this protest. But at a point, it will coalesce.
Do you think it's necessary?
It is necessary. Let the world know that certain things are happening, and these things are not in tandem with democratic principles. So one day, somehow, there will be an aggregation of all these agitations, and then it will come to a table that people will be forced to begin to look at some of these issues. For instance, most of these people that are being detained, or even the minors that were brought to court, if you take a look at them and you see the way they are not even primed for such things. They are not primed. What indices are you going to use? Do they have a commanding troop? Do they have the power to want to overthrow the government? Because there are certain things you need to have before you can say you want to proceed to upstage the government. Look at those minors. Can you imagine these people marching to Aso Rock, or even the local government headquarters, to say they want to chase out the local government chairman?
Okay. Well, they may not have, be marched to chase out local government chairman, but let's not forget that during the protest, properties were destroyed, especially in the northeastern parts of Nigeria, Borno, Gombe, Kano. The Maiduguri-Kano highway was obstructed. In Borno specifically, the Bimo Lodge was boggled. The Revenue Tribunal office was boggled, and I think a library somewhere was also destroyed. And I was wondering, what business does hunger have to do with books?
Does that collide?
That mean is treasonable.
Barrister.
Does that?
You're supposed to charge them for disturbing the peace.
No, not only
Public
that, please.
peace.
What you just said now, does that collapse into treasonable felony?
Barrister.
Where is it done in the whole world? Where? But you have forgotten that this protest is a right. And remember, it was mostly peaceful until police came in with violence.
Yeah, but the reports we have was that
Who wrote
I'm
the
going to
report?
focus on Borno. You know, when the police approached, the protesters started throwing stones at them, and they had to fire back with tear gas.
We are the
What are your
protesters
thoughts on
firing
that?
them with the gun. We are then firing them. Why
They
can't
threw
police?
stones at them.
The police,
the police have thrown stones back?
Yeah, of course. Why not? Why not? Return the stone to them. Now. It would have been better than using gun.
All right.
After all, the 22 people died in that protest by the brutality of the police. There is no how you can equate ordinary protest with a treasonable felony, no matter the level of disruption.
Barrister
It's not possible.
Should it be concerning to Nigerians that apart from this minor that released, scores of other protesters are still being held on the same charge of treason? So does it mean that the government that these are trumped-up charges, you know, on the part of the government to, again, as Fina suggested, to cow Nigerians? Because it looks like Nigerians have already been cowed. Look at what happened on October 1 when they said fearless. I mean, the momentum wasn't even as intense as it should be. And even the slogan itself, it said fearless. But nothing happened on that 1st of October. So what do you think the government is driving at by still detaining these other people on the charge of treason?
This is the hallmark of a dictatorial government. Don't just believe that we are in a democracy. We are not. When a government is failing, it results to this type of...
Is the government failing?
It has already failed. It has already failed because from what even Tinubu said yesterday, that the economy is on the brink of collapse. What else are you talking about? Was that the one that said it? After all the policies, after all plugging all the loopholes, after all the measures that have been taken, he's still telling us yesterday that the economy is on the brink of collapse. So, when you see a government in this mood, know that there is problem. So anybody that cough, they become paranoid, they become afraid. They are afraid of their shadows because they don't want anybody to remind them of what they have done so far in office. That is it.
Nigeria on the brink of collapse, Barrister Darlington. Do you mind explaining what that entails for Nigeria as a sovereign nation?
When you are no longer in charge of your security, you are no longer in charge of your economy, you are no longer in charge of the people you are supposed to be ruling over. In fact, all the indices of governance, you have lost them. What else are you asking?
So are you now joining some of the people that have this line of thought that says that Nigeria is a failed state?
The government said it.
What is happening?
The government said it themselves yesterday. I heard it from Tinubu that if your economy has collapsed, then what else are you doing? Are you not there to better the life of the people, to protect lives and property? Is he doing that? The answer is capital no. So that is the first indices of a failed state. The government have acknowledged it. So what are you saying again? It is left for them to ask themselves, how did we get here? Like Tinubu always asks. He knows how we got here, just that he doesn't know what to do. That's it. You can't give what you don't have. We have been saying it from the beginning. But they told us here, Lagos Ibadan Press packaged him and said he's the only one who knows the politics.
All right, then.
He will
Okay.
do the job.
Let me come to...
Now that these things are happening, Moses, please, hold on.
Okay.
We were here when the witches and wizards told us that Tinubu will do the job.
Wizards?
Yes, they came
heard
during
from
the election. They came at 300 of them. They issued a press conference that Obi and Atiku should not worry themselves about this tribunal, that they have lost the election, that they have decided that Tinubu have won the election, so they should go and sit down. Then some people at Lagos Island, white cap chief, they were offering sacrifice all over Lagos Island at the bar beach. Now that things have gone sour, why can't you go and meet them? You people help me.
Barrister, thank you very much.
Why not go to them instead of praying and disturbing us? Go to those gods you are serving. Go to them.
Dele, let me bring you into the conversation again. Would you agree that this government is failing in its responsibility of securing the people, like the barrister has insinuated?
Well, to some extent, I've not seen any improvement in the area of security.
Protection of lives and property?
You understand? Because this government inherited a fragmented country where non-state actors are really playing the game. You know, there are some parts of the north where bandits, Boko Haram, still hold sway and even collect taxes and even take money, extort money from farmers before they are escorted to their farms. So if you have that kind of activities going on in a country, a sovereign nation, then you should know that we can't boast of anything positive in terms of security. Then if you come to the Middle Belt or North Central, you'll find out that almost on weekly basis, if not daily, people are killed, are slaughtered, are maimed in their farms, in their communities, in hundreds, in tens, in hundreds. And government has not shown any will to put a stop to this. So what else do you need to assess what is going on? In the whole country today, I think Southwest, to some extent, is about the only place where you have some relative peace.
Well, Southeasterners will
Lagos,
argue.
Lagos is there now. Lagos
Southeasterners will argue. Barrister, please. Thank you. Well, Southeasterners will argue that the disturbance in the Southeast is orchestrated by agents of government.
That is a different ball game. We are not talking about who did what, but we are talking about insecurity.
Ordinarily, if
you understand?
Well, the argument is if government hands
we
off,
will still come to that.
They will still come to that. There will be peace in that region as well.
You understand? The issue now is that what we have seen is that there is pocket of crisis almost everywhere.
All right.
Now, Mr. Fanny.
And then, so if you have that as the template, how would you now assess this government as taking the charge in the area of security?
We heard that Boko Haram terrorists they fled Benin Republic. They flee from.
So we have Boko Haram in Benin Republic.
The news today is that Boko Haram have been chased into Borno from Chad. Chadian authorities,
of course,
continued an onslaught and chased them into Borno.
And they've made some locals to abandon their homes. Now, how do you think Nigerian government will be able to, curtail this, given the fact that there was also another word of how military personnel from another sovereign nation is fighting on Nigerian soil?
No, they're not really fighting on Nigerian soil. There's a point you can get to.
But we have the territories, have the boundaries.
You see, let me tell you, if you have been to the north, especially Borno, there is no visible line of demarcation between Nigeria in the borders, Ilela and so in Sokoto and all that. So sometimes you could be in another country without you knowing.
Well, that's
funny. Even for military
they're more like
personnel.
frontiers. They're more like frontiers.
You understand what I'm saying? For instance, in Borno, there was a time I went to Borno State and we crossed to the other side, Chad. And do you know that most times Chadians come, Nigerians come to Borno to vote? That's the reality. And that's why they don't see themselves as, I'm from this country, you are from the other one. Because the borders are so porous.
What does that now speak to the sovereignty of this nation? Really,
what I'm
if
saying
individuals
is,
from
other
countries,
there is a joint force.
Can come into Nigeria to
there is a joint force.
Like you just said. What does that say?
There was a time this former president, when he was fighting Matasine sects, when he was Borno State governor, Buhari, he fought across the border to the other side. Even when authorities said he should stop, he said he was not going to stop, that he has to run these people out of the country. So sometimes, and let me also tell you that there is a joint force around that Lake Chad, made up of Chadian troops, Nigerian troops, and Nigerian troops. So until sometimes when some of these, my colleagues, when they want to report, because they don't have strong background of what they are reporting, they just report what they are told. It could be the joint force that is also doing that job, but because they are not well informed.
Let me quickly ask you this one. Still talking about the protest around Nigeria, government's idea that it might be to topple the administration. Do you think the events around Nigeria, talking about coups that have happened around Nigeria, Niger and the rest, do you think those are probable reasons why this administration is apprehensive of protest and fear that protest might lead to a toppling of this administration?
You see, when Arab Spring started, it started with Bouazizi, and everybody felt an innocuous person who doused himself with gas and ignited it was Tunisia's problem, and so nobody cared. But it snowballed gradually and enveloped the whole area. Algeria, Syria. Syria has not even gotten out of the problem up to today. And Algeria also took a turn. Libya, the unrest that the death of Gaddafi caused in Libya is still there today. There are two governments in Libya today. So anybody in government will be paranoid as a result of protest, because it's like a time bomb.
All right, then.
That could explode.
I would like the barrister to respond to that as well.
Now, Moses, talking about Boko Haram, let me address it first. Just 2 days ago, Idris Deby got angry. He said that the joint force fighting the terrorists, Boko Haram, they are not doing enough, that he's going to pull out. He threatened he will pull out of the joint force because other nations, including Nigeria, are not doing enough. I am sure it was based on that anger that you saw what happened. That the man said, okay, since you Nigeria don't want, go and meet them there. They chased them. You can imagine. This was the first time, but remember, when Idris Deby Sr. was there, he went to the battlefront. He even, reprimanded Nigeria for not doing enough. So we are pampering the terrorists up to the extent that even outside here, they know that we are pampering them. That's why they got angry. Remember this Tojo Bello. Listen very well, though. When he was disturbing them there, one of his commanders was caught in Niger because the man is not from Nigeria. Imagine a foreigner, a foreign terrorist holding sway in Nigeria. Tojo Bello is not a Nigerian. He's from Niger. His commander, his second in command, was caught in Niger. And when Tojo Bello threatened that they should release his person, they now told him that, look, we know you. If it is Nigerian government that are pampering you and covering you, if we want to get you today, we'll get you today. That was what those juntas in Niger told him. You who is suffering most, what are you doing? You can imagine. So there are every indices that Nigerian government is pampering these people. If they have been very forthright, my dear, we cannot be living with these people up till now. For what?
Barrister Darlington, why do you think the government, why do you assert that the government is pampering?
My brother, that is what they have not told us up to today. Nobody from Buhari to Tinubu, they have not told us why these people are still with us up to today. Discussing peace with the federal government, talking with elected officials, clothing AK-47, issuing press statements. It is either ethnic bias or religious bias. These two things are playing out.
But one will ask, to what end?
I don't know. Maybe there is something they want to achieve, because I remember somebody once said that an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the north. Another person said that anybody who wants to touch their bandit boys, that person will not get their vote. And then whenever he's going to see his boys in the bush, the bandit, that the state official, government official used to accompany him. Mr. Okoro, how do you rationalize all this, for God's sake?
Barrister
Darlington. Sorry, Fina. Barrister Darlington, Moses asked a question, but you wanted to first respond to Boko Haram thing.
Yes.
Moses, the question you asked about, same question you asked Dele.
I don't recall.
All right,
go ahead.
All right, Barrister, let's come back to the issue of the NSAS protest. Now, we have the vice president said that Nigeria lost 300 billion naira during the protest. He was he was actually addressing the miners, you know, to tell them that Nigeria lost a whooping 300 billion naira during the protest. And we have a president come out to tell us, look, that Nigeria is near bankruptcy. How do you reconcile that statement, talking to miners and at the same time, president telling Nigerians that we are near bankruptcy? Isn't the president asking Nigerians to rally around his policies and support it and all of that so that Nigeria will not be bankrupt? We recall that a few days ago, a warning alarm was raised that, look, 12 ministries and MDAs will not receive salaries for the month of October. In fact, they have not received salary for the month of October. How do you react to all of this?
It shows that Tinubu's policies have failed. Not even failing, it has failed. But he doesn't want to accept it. It's as simple as that.
Why do you say so? Even when World Bank asks us to give him 15 years for the policy to materialize
No. If you are preparing to run mad for 25 years, it means that ab initio you don't want to run mad. It doesn't take you a day to run mad.
Is there something we're seeing, or is there something that international organizations are seeing?
They are not seeing anything.
That we Nigerians.
They are not seeing it. The only thing they are seeing is that they are doing business with Tinubu, with our lives. That's all. Nothing else. They are doing business with Tinubu, with our lives. Look at it yourself. They are servicing loan. With the money you and I are making. Servicing, they are not paying the loan. Who is benefiting? Those people. You see, by the time you now start paying the loan, you now realize that you have used servicing the loan alone to pay the debt. That is servicing of the loan. We take the entire debt you are owing and then see counting. That is the advantage for them. Maybe you don't get it. So Tinubu is now servicing the loan and they are happy because they are making profits out of the loan. So why wouldn't they be happy? That's what is going on here. He inherited 77 trillion from Buhari. He now ballooned it to 134 in 1.5 years. So by the time Tinubu will now finish office, it may get to 200 trillion.
Barrister, I want you to react to the inability of the federal government to pay 12 MDAs for the month of October. What does that portend for Nigeria?
I said the policy has failed because you told us you were plugging all the loophole. The same thing Buhari told us that they are blocking all the loophole where there are leakages. In fact, they are using cement. It is waterproof cement. That's what they are using to cement everywhere. That there will be no leakage again. That with it now, money will come and all that. So you ask yourself, if money is coming, where is it? Where does it reflect in our life? They are using it to pay World Bank and IMF. That's
right.
it.
Mr. Fanimo, I would like you to react to this same question. What do you make of the fact that the federal government is unable to pay salaries?
Well, for me, 12 is just a minute fraction. When you talk about MDAs in the federal government, that's about close to about 500 MDAs.
The conversation
now,
is that, sorry, excuse me, just to emphasize, to put this in perspective, the conversation is that they've used up the allocation.
I know, I'm coming to that.
All right, and monies will be sought from the service-wide vote to pay them.
You see, this is where the problem is. When MDAs go to the National Assembly to defend their budgets, the oversight function of the National Assembly is such that it can reduce and it can add up to the budget. But unfortunately, if you have an in-house accountant that does not know his onions, it can put you into trouble while defending that particular budget. I'll give you an example. There is vote for everything you do in the civil service. If overhead, you don't project for overhead, and you are static in your overhead, not minding promotion.
All of this is because of the wage award. That's all of it. So these things were not projected for.
Except you will not allow me to just explain some of these things to you.
Go ahead.
I know the internal workings. Okay. That's why I'm explaining to you.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, please.
You see, when you are planning a budget, you give allowance for future and make it expandable. For instance, if your overhead for last year is 10 naira, and you envisage that there will be promotion, there could be salary increment, you project for 16 naira Budget is what you propose to spend, not what you are spending in actual fact. Now, where these accountants make that mistake, that's why it's just like you have a lawyer who doesn't understand the law to come and help you defend you in court. That lawyer will put you in jail. Simple. So the accountant of that particular agency would have projected a static budget. And so when there is an expansion coming from government policy, you can't be able to push forward because there is something called overhead in the civil service. Overhead means this particular money is meant for this purpose. If it is for capital, you can't move it to recurrent. If it's for recurrent, you can't move it to capital. If something is meant to buy a tab, you can't move it to buy handkerchief.
So why would
you have committed corruption, and that is misappropriation of funds. Yeah. It is not that those agencies don't have money in their covers, but they overshot that particular vote, that overhead, and it's a function. Why is it that out of over 500 agencies, I am not defending government here.
The ones that
I'm just indicting these people in those places. Why is it that only 12, and they have not been able to mention these agencies? And I can tell you for free here, I've been in Abuja for quite a while. I know that there are some agencies that only exist in Abuja alone.
Okay.
Now, my question is, why would they now make the whole staff or the whole people that belong to these 12 agencies to be the ones that will suffer for the 40% CONPSS peculiar allowance, which was not initially added in this budget? Why wouldn't it now be the case of making sure that the people that are supposed to get the allowance did not get it? Why let it trickle down to even the man or the woman who received the 70,000 minimum wage? It's going to extend from October to December. It's not just going to be a 1 month thing, Mr. Fani.
Now, for you to have extended from October till December, if you understand my argument, you will now know that it is the fault of that agency. Because what they are now waiting for is the passage of another bill, which will accommodate their error in the current expenditure.
All right.
That is it.
Okay. Barrister, let me come to you now. Staying with these monies not being paid, salaries not being paid, 12 agencies will harbor nothing less than approximately 5,000 Nigerians each. If I'm not mistaken.
You are mistaken.
It's an estimation.
I know that. Even Nigerian Customs Services, do you know that the whole workforce in Nigerian Customs Service is not up to 7,000?
Well, that's an estimation.
So for you, I know, Google it, you'll see it.
No need to, that's an estimation.
So what I'm telling you that there are some agencies that are only in Abuja,
5,000.
and
Excuse me, please.
Their population is not up to 500.
Agencies like what, Mr. Fanimo?
No. Well, I can tell you, I don't need to Google it, but I can tell you that Voice of Nigeria is one of those that are said to have overshot their budget. The News Agency of Nigeria also is one of those. So we are seeing two information ministries now under this. And this has trickled down to Radio Nigeria as well, and some other agencies, those that have been affected by this. We know that sometime earlier in the year, we heard of government, sometime last year, we heard of government stretching the 2023 budget. We heard of, supplementary budget. Couldn't there have been a provision from the federal government to ensure that salaries will be paid regardless of whether companies overshot or, did not plan properly?
Moses.
Barrister?
What happened is this inflation. Inflation took over whatever budget these people have made.
Was it caused by the workers?
It wasn't, but government is not recognizing that fact. That is why the agencies have said, well, which one is our own? We have tried our best. Remember, these agencies are not money-making agencies, so I hope you know. So there is no other way for them to augment. That is the major problem.
No, Barrister.
None generates income.
I disagree
From
with you.
from
These
where?
agencies make money.
They
From
make
where?
money.
From where? From where?
Stupendous money.
They make money, and the monies are paid into TSA.
Where did they make the money?
From subscription.
From subscription.
From advertorials.
From subscription.
Okay, please. Okay.
Radio Nigeria makes money from
I am
advertorials.
please. How many people advertise in that government agency?
Many people. Let me explain to you.
That propaganda machine.
Yeah. No, you
The
have
thing
your
is that,
turn.
hold on. The thing is that
You'll have your turn.
people go to where they will get value.
Okay.
If you want to, even look at their listenership, their viewership. If you want to get information about Nigeria, is it a radio
Barrister,
Nigeria?
is that a justifiable reason?
It is, because it's about people.
It's a justifiable reason.
It is more than justifiable. Yes. How many adverts do they do in a day, in a week, in a month to generate this fund you are talking about? If you want to get information about Nigeria, are you going to get it from Radio Nigeria? No,
so Barrister, are you saying that government will not pay people, agencies that are not generating
we are talking of why there is no money for them to, yes. Now, two, listen very well. When Tinubu said I am going to look at Orosanya report, I will say, okay, maybe that will save the day. How far did he go? He only brought aviation, maybe Ministry of Finance and Aviation, to Lagos, part of their offices, because the hub is here. After that, did you hear any other thing? And you heard of the hoopla this is generated. They know to kick against it and all that. That means if you want to relocate some of the military establishment in Kaduna now, in fact, that will be civil war on its own. So these issues are what is dragging us back. Meanwhile, Tinubu's reform cannot accommodate this thing because this thing has been there for a long time. So if you want to do the reform, you must look at the fundamentals. You can't just start it from the middle. That is why this is now as shaky. Remember, this ministry have been existing before. We didn't hear that they could not be paid, though. Remember. So how come under this dispensation they could not be paid? That means their modus operandi or their organogram has been altered. When you alter it, then the financial implication should be there. That is what they did not recognize. So you can't bring water out of stone now. That is the issue here. You are trying to do reform. You are not looking at the financial implication of your reform.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Darlington. You do have a rebuttal. You wanted to react to
something.
You see, News Agency of Nigeria is meant to push out information for various media organizations, even beyond Nigeria, to subscribe to. And I know that 75% of media organizations in Nigeria rely heavily on News Agency of Nigeria for their news. So, and you pay for subscription. It comes in video, it comes in audio, it comes in written form. So they have, even if they generate trillions of naira in News Agency of Nigeria, if it's not captured in that particular overhead, I'm talking about the running of an organization here.
Okay.
I'm a manager, and I know what I'm talking about. You don't, if you take money, sometimes some people go to jail, not because they took money out of government, but when you misappropriate money, you are eligible to go to jail, because that's fraud. If money is meant to buy pen, you go and use it to buy chalk, you go to jail. You have not stolen. And that's what is happening here. Even if News Agency of Nigeria, Voice of Nigeria, or any of those agencies you mentioned, if they have excess money that they have generated, they can move it to another vote that has not been approved by the National Assembly.
All right,
by extension by the ministry supervising them.
Thank you, Dele.
You are forgetting that there is a TSA. You don't even need to keep any money. You take every money to the TSA. But if you are not generating, what do you do? Who is subscribing to your news at the News Agency of Nigeria? Who? Who is subscribing? Is it compulsory?
Barrister Darlington, let's come back to the End Bad Governance protesters. Now, Friday has been scheduled for another protest. Do you think it will happen, and do you think government will listen to the protesters?
It will happen. No matter how minute, it will happen, because that will happen. You can't beat a child and ask that child not to cry. It will continue to happen even beyond 2025. As long as the right thing has not been done, people will continue to agitate. You can never beat any child and ask that child not to cry. It's not possible.
But we saw the first protest from August 1 to 10. After that protest, the president said, I've heard your voice, I've heard your cry. But that's, give birth to the purchasing of the new yard. Now, do you also think that he is going to listen to the cry of Nigerians? They're supposed to converge at Ikeja on the bridge for this protest to happen on Friday. So do you think the government at this time will reduce the fuel pump price, reduce the electricity tariff hike, and also make the purchasing power available for Nigerians?
Is that the purpose of that Friday strike?
Yes.
No.
Plus the release of the detained.
The main issue around that protest is the release of those detained over treason charges. The other ones are an addendum.
The fact remains that government will tell you now they have released them. But they are telling you that there are many who are still in detention.
That's exactly what I'm asking. Do you think that the government will be forced to, or will be persuaded by the protest to release the remaining people?
Yes. Yeah, why not? If we make it loud
So why do they have to wait until we organize a protest?
That is it. Nobody gives you your right except you ask for it.
Remember, they have treasonable felony on their head. Bail of 10 million.
Leave that thing. Government will reverse itself, just like the way they did to do the juvenile matter. So if we don't raise our voice, Tinubu will tell you that he's not aware. Remember, Buhari was telling you that. Throughout his regime, everything, I am not aware. He will tell you he didn't know. So when you raise your voice, the international community, Amnesty International will join you. I'm sure somebody will call us Orok and say, what am I hearing?
Barrister, is it appropriate for, if the charge of treason have been placed on individuals, and let's assume that relevant agencies have conducted proper investigation, is it appropriate for the people to protest against their continued detention if truly treason is the charge leveled against them and government has justification for it?
There is no way you can have justification for treasonable felony if there is no facts behind it. If this treasonable felony started with protest, my dear, it cannot hold water in court. Forget it. They just did it just to keep these people in the cooler. Not that charge will stand in court. It can never stand in court. In fact, government is even trying to save face because any court with conscience will throw that matter away. You cannot sustain that charge in court. It's not possible. Protest, treasonable felony, they are not together. People who plan coup, they don't even tell you. You just wake up one morning and start hearing, this person, and the martial music will follow. They don't protest when they want to do coup. So how can you now say that people who came out in the open and protesting, they want to do coup, they want to overthrow you? How is that possible? It has never happened now. So that charge cannot stand in court. It can never stand. That's why government is looking for a way to save face by releasing those children. In fact, their own would have been more embarrassing. So these other people that are there now, there should be protests on their behalf for them to be released too. Since the government now believes in protest for anything to be done, the protest will continue as long as the right thing has not been done. It will continue because your temperament rate is not my own temperament rate. All of us have an endurance threshold. Those people who were enduring it, at the point they will say, what is all this one now? They will say, enough is enough. So it will continue beyond 2024 as long as this hardship is with us.
All right. Thank you, Barrister Darlington. Mr. Fanimo, I want to ask you the same question. Do you think that the protest will be enough to persuade the president, or the president, yes, to release the remaining protesters?
As a matter of fact, from the layman point of view, I strongly believe that charge couldn't be pressed to conclusion because I've not seen any ingredient in that charge that would sustain the argument in court that these people actually committed treason. That's one. Two, treasonable felony it takes capital sentence, which is death, either by firing squad or by hanging. And any capital offense is not bailable. I have not seen and I have not heard that their case file has been transferred to DPP, awaiting advice, and they have been given 10 million naira bail. And when those people were paraded around September, you could see those people that they are not in any way qualified to have access to such funds. And you are also tying it to the fact that the surety must be a civil servant.
Now, Mr. Fanimo, do you think that the government will be persuaded by this protest to release them?
Of course, government will be persuaded. For me, what I would just advise is that the protesters should be clear in their demand, not going to extraneous things that government can latch on and decide to clamp down on them.
So, Ab initio, what do you think the government was thinking by arresting peaceful protesters and charging them with treason? Was it an act to intimidate Nigerians, you know, to bow and not to roll into the streets any longer?
We cannot sit here and begin to say peaceful. The protest was peaceful. There were pockets of fracas and all that. But that is not enough to press treasonable charge on these protesters. But what I'm saying again is that government, in its wisdom, felt to rein in those who may feel they can cause trouble in the guise of protesting. Maybe that was why they were arrested. But if you go by what we saw, I think government should release them now. They have served enough punishment for an offense that is not even there, treason. And psychologically, they have also been traumatized to the extent that they are almost being criminalized. Because every day you wake up and you know that there is a tendency for court to pronounce death sentence on you. You can't be human for the rest of that day. You can't even eat well. And these are people that have gone through this thing since August up until now. It is disheartening, and it should be taken seriously, because this is the life of our fellow human beings, and they shouldn't be allowed to rot in jail. They should be released the way these minors were released as a result of public outcry.
Okay. All right then.
I wanted to ask you if that. Oh, Kibarso, you want to say something?
Yes, I have told you it is the government that prepared the crime. The criminal just commits it. Go and check from end SARS protests till now. It has been peaceful protests. The organizers are always peaceful. It is your government that always introduces violence into the matter.
Very sorry, you can't be too sure of
oh
that.
My, hold on, I'm coming. Ask me.
Destroyed property.
Hold on, I'm coming, please. The last one that happened in October here, we monitored it all through the day. We saw young men and women at that Ojota who were protesting.
That's in Lagos.
They didn't go outside, but at a later time, some other people came with cutlass. Meanwhile, the real protesters, they don't even have a stick in their hand. In the full view,
those that were arrested for causing mutiny, and those accused of, these are people arrested in the northern part of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And we know that in the northern part of Nigeria, Borno and some other states in the north, Kano, there were destruction of properties. Are you
Armored personnel carrier was seized.
Are you alluding to the fact that it was the government that was involved?
Yes, now.
Oh,
you saw it.
I told you now. It was when police came in with their tear gas and their guns and was shooting them. That was when the whole thing went haywire. Ab initio, they were peaceful until violence was introduced into the matter by security agents. Is that not what happened? Have you forgotten? They didn't go out. From the beginning, they didn't go out to be violent.
I don't remember it the way you do.
But they didn't come out to be violent. That's what I'm telling you. You and I know what happened, except you don't want to.
No, Barrister, you know what happened.
What happened is that these people were protesting for hunger. It was hunger protest.
Okay.
They didn't go out to kill anybody until police came in. They chased them out of Ego Square. Abi? They said they cannot use there and was using force against them. That's why when they got angry now.
All right then. All right.
That's why when they got angry.
You want to say something? All right. So the VP's allusion to the fact that 300 billion was lost. How do you react to that, Barrister?
Look, please, they should not go there. Before the protest, the money they made, where are they? You know when you want to hang a dog, you give it a bad name. Is it only 3? I thought it was 1 trillion. 300 billion, so what? Let them come and tell me that they have not wasted more than that over the years. Who took them to court?
Right.
Who apprehended them? Were you not here? All the money that has been wasted on useless items, did anybody take them to court for it? No, tell me. So I should now sit down and be analyzing. Is there no issue
all right,
now?
Let's move on to another conversation.
How much did you use to renovate his house? You didn't talk about that one. 21 billion. Just to renovate. Then if you want to build the house, what will now happen?
Well, let's move on to another conversation now. IPOB identifies the cause of insecurity in southeast Nigeria, and they have also issued warnings to Igbo politicians to resist political witch hunt in southeast and work for the unity of the region. Let's talk about this one when we come back.
All right, welcome back. You are still watching VoP this morning. The indigenous people of Biafra has urged politicians in southeast Nigeria to tackle the root causes of insecurity in the region rather than engaging in political witch hunts and recriminations. According to IPOB's media and publicity spokesperson, Emma Powerful, the main issues driving insecurity are the continued detention of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, chronic youth unemployment, and the shoot-to-kill policy of Nigeria's security agents. In the same vein, IPOB is calling on Southeast governors to work collectively to address these issues and stop sponsoring armed political talks to discredit IPOB's activities. Oh well, they urge the politicians to unite and distinguish between legitimate agitators and common criminals, as watchdogs have been set up to identify individual politicians and drug cartels fueling insecurity in the southeast, and anyone claiming ignorance of this order from IPOB will regret it, according to Emma Powerful. We still have in the studio with us Barrister Darlington Agomo and Mr. Dede Fanimo. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Okoro.
Now, Barrister, IPOB has said that the governors should identify the root causes of insecurity and tackle it. They have also proposed that the root cause of insecurity is the continued detention of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, as well as warning politicians to desist from recriminations. Do you believe what IPOB has said?
100%. Because by the nature of the Igbo man and by our historical antecedents, we are not violent. It is not our thing. Seriously, I've said it everywhere I go. The Igbo man is not known for this type of violence. It started somewhere in our life. It's not our culture. Remember, when the other regions were forming their own vigilante to protect their region because of invading killer Fulani herdsmen, they formed one in Imo State called Ipob, which was midwife by Hope Uzodimma. It didn't take long before we realized that Ipob became Uzodimma's killer squad. And that was why the whole of Haneze went to him and said, look, disband these people. Disband, we don't want them. What they are doing is not what we asked them to do. You can imagine. That was why Ipob died, natural death. And then ESN have been doing this job of protecting the Southeasterners, raising alarm where necessary, apprehending all these killer Fulani herdsmen. But because they did not fit into the agenda of these other people, Ipob and their sponsors, they now want to criminalize Ipob and ESN. You can see what is going on. So all this is well known to us. It's not hidden. How can the Igbos come together, Haneze, and say disband this group because of what they are doing? Are you telling me that they don't want peace in the South?
Let me be very direct now. What do you think that a governor that is sponsoring insecurity in the Southeast, what does it stand to benefit from that?
It keeps him in office now.
Barrister,
go and check.
Any governor,
don't you read the 48 laws of power?
Yes. Is there any governor that can be said to be sponsoring insecurity in the Southeast? Do you think there is any governor?
There are. They are not hidden. There are, especially those who claim to be in the good book of the ruling government.
They are sponsoring.
They have said
they are allowing other intruders to carry out insecurity.
They are doing it willy-nilly. They are not even here hiding it.
No, but the question is, what do they intend to benefit?
They want to sustain themselves in power. That is it.
For how long can they do that?
As long as it fits their agenda. I told you here what happened with Ipob. Is that not a very good example? No, is that not a good example? So if we cannot accept Hope Uzodimma's Ipob, then no other security outfit should be in the Southeast or in Imo State.
But ESN is operating.
No, but they are criminalized them now. Are they recognized? The answer is no.
But Hope Uzodimma is not the only governor that have Ipob. It also happened when Dave Umahi was the governor of Ebonyi State. Ipob was also functional there.
Good. Where are they? Which party do they belong to? These two people have told you where their interests lie, and that's what is playing. That's why this man said a political witch hunting. That's what he's playing. If you go to Anambra, the same thing is going on. Some people prefer their own selfish interests to the detriment of the generality of the people. It's obvious. You are saying, how can somebody be sponsoring whatever? My dear, it happens all over the world, though, not only in Nigeria. Some people can kill an entire country for their own selfish interests.
Look
at what is going on in Syria. Even 9/11, go and watch a Fahrenheit 9/11. It's a documentary on what happened when George Bush was there. Fahrenheit 9/11. George Bush deliberately allowed it for his own selfish interests because his popularity was dying and he needed something to do. I said, go and watch that documentary. Go to Netflix, borrow it and watch. It's a documentary, not even a film. Or what happened with 9/11. It was deliberately orchestrated. When Idi Amin was getting too uncontrollable, and Julius Nyerere was after him, criticizing him, what did Idi Amin do? He went to border villages, set them ablaze, burn all of them, and call international press. Say, come and see what Julius Nyerere have done to my people. You can see what this man have done to my people.
Okay.
With that, Nyerere got angry and then sent his troops to go and chase him out of there. So it happens. It's just that if you don't want to address it, okay, please, Mr. Okoro, these people that went to go and bring terrorists into this country, what were they doing? They love you, Abi? Or is that not a fact again? Okay. Was it not people that brought these terrorists into this country? No, tell me. So ask yourself, what do they want to gain? Is it not to use them to intimidate you to agree to what they want? You can see it playing out. Whatever they want now, with those people, they will get it. So don't deceive yourself. Oh. It is here that you people don't see this as a very big issue. It is an issue over there. They brought them here deliberately. I've given you examples and I've been shouting for somebody to contradict me. Eh? So what are you saying? It was deliberately orchestrated. They told them that that's the only way you can remain in power. If you have all these people working for you, fighting for you, killing your opponent, and you will remain where you are.
Mr. Fanimo is like you have a different opinion, but also when you want to answer to that question that Mr. Chukwumakoro asked, what do you think is making the Southeastern politicians and governors, what do you think is keeping them from coming together to do the same thing that those in the Southwest did, that gave them back their sons under Iboho, even when he was charged with the same crime that Nnamdi Kanu is facing now?
I think about a month ago or so, I was here to tell you this, but you didn't agree with me at that point. I said Southeast has to look inwards, that there is some level of betrayal. Now, I want to commend the High Command of Ipob for coming out to say the truth. And it shows that that organization is ready to reinvent itself and work assiduously, one, to make sure that Nnamdi Kanu is released, two, to bring peace back to the Southeast, other than this show of brigandage and all these funny attitudes that have been going on. And I told you that time, I said, some people within this region are hell-bent on fomenting trouble for their own selfish interest. Nobody believed me. And I'm happy today that I'm alive, that Ipob is coming up with this statement. I told you that if the old politicians in the Southeast, if they work in one accord, they will chase away any external aggressor out of that region. But because it benefits some people, they will never allow it to happen. I remember I gave an allusion. Perhaps by now they would have criminalized Odua People's Front in Southwest. If that incident at Agodi Government House on a Saturday was applauded by leaders of thought in the Southwest. But immediately that happened, even when they know that some fifth columnists perhaps would have infiltrated the ranks of these people, they went all out to condemn that particular thing, and they also ensured that those people that were rounded up are still in prison till today. Their case file had been sent to DPP. When you do that, why is Boko Haram festering in the northeast? Why is banditry festering in the northwest? Because the community embraced them. Yeah. Let well-meaning people in the southeast, let them come together and criminalize those people that are criminals infiltrating the Ipob. See how Ipob will regenerate itself, and see how there will be development in the southwest. But if you don't do that, and I'm sure that some people that are knowledgeable and reasonable had spoken to this group to tell them that why do you have to remain in the forest and be profiled and criminalized? Come out. All these people that are using this impasse to further their interest, let us expose them. You can see now with this statement, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, you will see progress in that region.
But this
because they would have, that statement would have reined in some of these politicians that are hiding under the cloak of supporting in the day and criminalizing in the night.
But this is not the first time that Imapa or IPOB is coming up to make such a statement. They've been saying something about how the Southeastern politicians are behind whatever thing that's been happening, even the extraordinary rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya.
I have said it, and I will continue to say it. From what Ipob has said with this statement, is it not clear that some people are working against the interest of Kanu, even while in detention? Why would you work? And I give an allusion to what happened to MK Abiola when he was trying to reclaim his mandate. Late Adedubu went to prison to meet him, detention to meet him, and said, please, let us get you out of this. Agree to any conditional bail. come out first before you now begin to agitate. Some people went behind after Adidibu left him and said, no, don't ever agree. If it means dying, you are dying as a matter. Did MK Abiola die as a matter? His family was destroyed. His business was destroyed. Who is today visiting MK Abiola's living children? Who is today visiting MK Abiola's living wives? So why would you now, with that example, why would you now allow Kanu to rot in jail? Why don't you work in unison to ensure that he's out? And then, if it is the only way to bring peace to the Southeast, let us see how. But I can tell you, these politicians are afraid because once Kanu gets out of that prison, it's going to be a game changer in the politics of Southeast. It will dictate who becomes what. Because already he has attracted so much sympathy to himself, fighting for a region at that age that people want to say this man is reasonable. And so it's going to be an instant hero if he comes out, and it's going to affect the political fortunes of some of these people. Yeah. And that is what is going on. That's what is playing out. So it's more of intellectual thing than I no go agree, I no go agree. I no go agree will not work in this.
Okay, Mr. Darlington, also in the words of Emmanuel Powerful, he made mention of the shoot-to-kill policy of Nigerian security agents being one of the reasons that insecurity is still happening in the Southeast. Yes. What do you have to say about that?
It's a fact, because when you have gone to the bush and of all the firewood there, you now collected the one that ants are inside, ants-infested firewood, and bring it to your compound. Then don't be surprised when lizards follow and come for party. They saw that there is insecurity in the South, so they entered. And are now hiding under it. Any young man they see now is an Ipob member. That's what is going on. All the army of occupation in the Southeast. Ask yourself, why are these things still happening even with their presence? Why are they killing? Why are they kidnapping in the with their presence? It's like we don't even need you people again because your presence is not helping security issues in the Southeast. If all of you are here, then we still have insecurity, kidnapping, killing. Then who is behind it? Who? How many of them have they arrested? These people will operate freely and get away freely. No apprehension. Meanwhile, you have an army of occupation in the entire Southeast. What does that tell you? Didn't they say in Yoruba land that the kokoro where they eat the leaf, is there behind the leaf?
Yes, Barrister, I wanted to ask you, why is it difficult for the government to identify the unknown gunmen? The intelligence. Because most times you discover that the insecurity in the South is largely caused by the unknown government and not by IPOB.
Oh, so you can imagine.
So why is it difficult for government to give intelligence about the source of those unknown gunmen?
It was government that called them unknown gunmen, no, because I have never seen any human being who is unknown. Every human being on earth came from a family. Trace him to his village, trace him to his family. There's no human being that fell from the sky. So when you say unknown, that means the person does not exist, is invisible. Is that possible? The answer is no. So they use that word to cover what they are doing.
Who covers?
The federal government and their troops in the Southeast.
If we are in one breath,
that's why they say shoot to kill.
Are we not losing it? If in one breath we blame politicians of the Southeast extraction, and in another we say that the federal government is the cause of insecurity.
They are working in collabo. They are working in collabo. That's what I'm telling you here. Hope Uzodinma told Buhari, please give me army to go and bomb his local government. He said it. He ran to Abuja. He said it was one that brought them when they were. You need to see the level of devastation. Military, that's as if you are in a war. Hope Uzodinma came out and said, yes, that is the one that brought them to bomb his local government.
When Hope Uzodinma's tenure as governor expires sometime after before 2027, what role is he going to play in Southeast?
I don't know whether he go exile because I don't think that place will accommodate him. I don't think so. Seriously, because
he'll go to rest house.
Wherever he's going to. He will not come back to that village. Is that time his people will now tell him, okay, come, you are welcome, you are back, Abi. Or you come and tell us, why did you order troops Nigerians to come and finish You need to go there. It's not that there is news blackout in that area. I wanted people to go and see what they have done there. Your own local government, Omoma. You remember Ugochinyere? Ugochinyere, that's why the man hated you. We was giving us intel on what was going on. No young man in that part, not even village, no young man, if they see them, shoot aside. That's why the man powerful say shoot to kill. Shoot to kill. Is that how things are done? Are we at work in the southeast? So it's a deliberate ethnic cleansing. And because the politicians invited and allowed it, that's what is happening. Look at it very well, though. How many governors have we had in the southeast? I mean, in Imo State. From the days of Mbakwe to Rochas to whatever. Even Achiku, all of them. You know them now. One of them. Ike, please. Did you hear this type of thing in Imo State? Until the Supreme Court gave us to that governor. Please, what does that tell you? Have you gone back to history? At least if it is something that is with us, say, they are known for that. Imo State, every time they are boiling. We never had it until Hope Uzodinma came to Supreme Court judgment. Even one of the judges said that this particular judgment will haunt Imo State and Nigeria for a long time to come. Because he knew what this man was coming to do. He was given a mandate. Was it not under him that these people were coming in? And the governor looked the other side. Until they started operating. As the chief security officer of the state, you're supposed to raise the alarm that, look, that would have made them to go back. But you accommodated them. And today, look at the results. So, it was deliberate. It's not as if it is our culture. No. Let nobody call an Igbo man a violent person. The Igbos who are outside the Imo State, outside the Southeast, how violent are they? So, use it to compare notes. So when people are talking, let them please separate the wheat from the chaff. We have a terrorist organization in the Southeast. They are the ones doing all these things. Not Ipob, not Igbo people. Whatever is happening now is a collabo. Some criminals now take advantage of what is going on to make what? To make up.
All right. Mr. Fanimo, what role do you think Ohaneze and Igbo should play in trying to resolve the whole insecurity in the Southeast?
You see, these are leaders of thought, if I'm not mistaken. The composition of the Ohaneze and Igbo are elders, statesmen, and those who have achieved so much in life.
It's like Afeni Ferre,
that's what I'm
like
saying. You hardly see youngsters in that group. Now, these are people that years, age would have tempered them for them to be reasonable in their approach to issues, unlike youngsters that are still hot in their blood. I think they should go back to the inner recess. The first approach will be to meet with these governors behind closed doors. You see, anything that is done in the full glare of the public, you hardly get results. They should go behind closed doors, meet with these governors, and ask them salient questions that they must provide answers to. From that meeting, they should also go to the various cells identified in this crisis. And let's hear from them. Because sometimes, if you don't go to an agitator, he may not have the opportunity of telling you why he's angry. By the time you collate all this, you can now aggregate opinion and come out with very reasonable position, such that you now organize few people amongst these groups and push an agenda. And the agenda to be pushed first, let these governors agree that we are determined and we hold dearly to that commitment that we want this man, who is a symbol of our agitation, out of detention. Because it's one thing to mouth it to the press, it's another thing to turn around in the night to say, I better keep him there. If he comes now, my second time is not assured. The person I want to put as governor may not get there. So please keep him there for a while. Once they have that commitment, then the communities should be sensitized. These so-called invaders, they live in the communities. Not all of them live in the bush. Even if you live in the bush, you still have cause to come to the city or to the village to come and purchase one thing or the other. Some herdsmen that were killing, when they come out to the open or they send their agent to the market, the agent is traced back to where they are. So with that, you'll be able to identify. It was intelligence that exposed some Yoruba people that masqueraded as herdsmen that were kidnapping in Ekiti, indigenous of the town. So for us, we cannot just assume here that these are the people behind this or that. Eventually, you may even find out that some indigenous of that community had been recruited to even unleash violence on their fellow men.
Yeah.
So it is not a question of just coming out in the open and say you want to do this, you want to do this. No. Let us go back to our inner recess and evaluate, identify, and proffer solutions. And then from there, you will know that there are things you negotiate behind closed doors that doesn't come to the open. And this is the approach I've always advocated.
All right. Barrister Darlington, beyond what Mr. Dele-Fanimo has reeled out, what role do you think the federal government should play in resolving the insecurity in the Southeast?
Good. You see, you are the leader. The box stops on your table as the president, as the commander-in-chief. If Tinubu wants peace in Nigeria today, it will be achieved. It's as simple as that. Take, for example, when he entered office, how many months did it take him to release Showore and Sunday Igbo? It didn't take anything now. In the case of Showore, it is discharged and acquitted. They entered nulli prosecute. That means the federal government, they don't have interest to prosecute this matter. The young man was let go. No discussion, no nothing. All because of what? Regional sentiment. He came from my region. How can a Yoruba man be in Asorok and Yorubas are in detention and all that? Because of Buhari. That's what part of the sentiment.
First,
I didn't hear.
As we coast home, because we'll be wrapping up this conversation very shortly. As we coast home, quick one, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying
is it fair to say that governors in the Southeast are sponsors? Because you did allude to that in the course of the program, that they have largely sponsored insecurity in the Southeast. When we know that some governors have worked against sit-at-home order and some of these things, like Peter Mbah, for example. Is it fair to say that? Now, I would like you to juxtapose that with... okay, just answer that.
I didn't say that all of them. I said some. And I mentioned the Hope Uzodinma specifically with Dave Umahi. They are the ones with the federal government ruling party, APC. I mean, is it not obvious? And I gave you the history. Was it not Hope, when Hope Uzodinma came to him and said that this thing started?
Okay.
We have had other governors now, and he was not even apologetic about it. He told us how he went to Buhari and told him, please give me fighter jets. And they want to bomb an entire civilian area. Eh? He said it openly. So what other evidence are you looking for? I am telling you here that Nnamdi Kalu's case is because an Igbo man is not in Aso Rock. Right. I am very sure.
Let's get you,
the same way the other man from North allowed and pampered his people. And now Tinubu has released his own people. An Igbo man would have released the Kalu based on court judgment. But they cannot do that. Our own case now, we need to negotiate. We need to go form a committee. Even with all the visits to Ohanes, they visited the Buhari, they visited Tinubu. I don't know what else they want us to do. Other people, is that how their own people were visiting them before they were released? Tell me. The Mieti Alaman that even form a dangerous militia. So it's not about the Igbo not knowing what to do. It's about our regional location.
Thank you very much, Mr.
That
Darlington.
if we are located in the north, wouldn't we go through all this now?
Fanimo, let's get your concluding thoughts, please, in about 30 seconds.
Well, I think we are not moving forward except we tackle insecurity in Nigeria. And it is high time something is done towards that direction.
All right, then. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We've been speaking with Barrister Darlington Agumo, VoP in-house analyst, and also Daily Fanimo, citizen reporter. And, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Moses. It's a pleasure.
That's it on the show. Stick around, 9 o'clock hour. We'll delve into the papers again, looking at stories that made it to the cover pages on Newspaper Review. On behalf of the team, I am Moses Humphrey. Bye for now.